Right, we're live. Good morning, Simon. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Baiju. Top of the world, my friend. Top of the world.
Well, top of the world. A lot of people are trying to get there, and you're there. Fantastic.
I've had a leg up with some friends.
Yeah. Great. So listen, I just want to make sure that we are live. So because we're using StreamYard, it's the first time we're using StreamYard. So and we are live. Perfect. Great. So I'm going to get that in operation. Mute that out. Happy days. Great. Simon, so this is an opportunity for me and you to have a chat about what is a digital entrepreneur. What is it? Now we've known each other for several years and we worked together for the last couple, but we've been talking about, you do a lot of stuff around, it's very easy to say, oh, you just build websites. But as I've got to know you, it's more than that. And we've come up with this term called digital engineer.
Yes.
Tell us what a digital engineer is.
I think you described the journey to get to this tag, this handle quite well, because if you say you're a digital engineer, it's probably a misnomer, because a digital engineer may be somebody who's actually building computers or something like that. But it seems to fit what I'm trying to do. And you're right. The journey that I have with a client is they understand what a web developer is, but they don't understand where that can actually lead. And the excitement happens when I'm talking to a client and they will say, oh, we need this, we need that, the other. And it's invariably around sales, marketing, promotion of the enterprise. But then I'll sit in the office and I'll see spreadsheets and somebody copying this and taking it over there. And this is all process stuff, but it may be stuff that's coming on the website that then has to go into another system and it's requiring people to interact, but just to drive a process. They're not using any intellect. They're not adding any value. They're driving process. So my suggestion to these people is, what would happen if that linked to that system, and if anything went out of normal parameters, you just got an email to say, check in on the reservation system, check in on this. But apart from, if it's within normal bounds, it just happens automatically. It goes through to your Sage Pay for payment, or whatever it might be, it just happens automatically. My why in life is actually spotting these things and then automating these systems. That's the fun I get out of it. So that's what I call a digital engineer, because I engineer the solutions that my clients didn't realize were actually possible.
One thing I want to do is, when people listen to this, whether you're listening to this live or recording, is have the ear of a business owner thinking there'll be certain entities in your business process-wise that, like Simon mentioned, right? So listen, my encouragement to you is listen to this broadcast from the point of view of thinking, what potential solution has Simon got that I don't even know there was a solution for? So I think what would be a good idea to sort of go through like a typical, how a client comes to you, what they think they need, and then what do you see to say, actually, did you realize that you could do this, this, this? And they're thinking, really? Because we don't know what we don't know.
You're right. And all the coaches I've heard use, you don't know what you don't know, because it is so true. It is so true. Let me, I can give you a couple of examples, but let's talk about one that was, somebody had an expectation for a very simple website. It was an educational establishment, and they were doing a lot of manual process. And to actually put new courses up took them a week, because it had to be sent off to the web developer who would eventually get round to it. And I said, you need to be empowered. You need to be in control, because if a course comes up or an opportunity comes up, you need to put it out to your audience straight away. But this is going to require some automation and some bigger thinking beyond, I just want a website that says this is who we are. But she says, we've only got this budget. I said, look, don't tell me now, but think about it and we'll have a chat in the morning. What value would it be to your enterprise if we were to automate this? What asset, what resource would it free up that you can then redeploy to greater benefit? And I'm not a drama person, but I wrote a figure down on a piece of paper, and I handed this piece of paper to her, and I said, look, don't react to it now. Think about it, because you've got to think about it in the context of what it's going to give your business, not the cost and where you're going to get the money from. Because if this works, in 6 months' time, all the work on your website will be free because it will have paid for itself out of operational savings. So therefore, your sales and marketing budget is actually untouched in 6 weeks, in 6 months' time. I get a buzz out of doing this, and then she opens it up and goes, "Oh my God." She put the paper down. I said, "Look, stop there. If you've got any more questions now of how this can go together, we can do that. But think about it and talk to me in the morning." Phone call in the morning. She said, "I've added it all up. This is such a saving to the institution. It's not only saving once, it's ongoing, and it enables me to do more with my team. So thank you." And it was an absolute no-brainer that this project came in, but it was 5 times more the original cost, but it paid back in 6 months. It's the magic is spotting these things.
Yeah. Well, does it matter if someone say someone's got a website that's currently operating, but it's more of a brochure website. It sort of displays what they do, but their business requires certain automation, certain connectivity. Do they need to start from scratch, or can you use their current platform?
With everything that I do, Baiju, and this is how I've grown knowledge and grown teams in the past. They may have, if they are the right sort of demographic type of client for me, in other words, they're people that love their brand, they know where they're going, that they're just empowered to reach and surpass their next goal. They will invariably have they will want relationships with trusted professionals and people who can innovate in a digital area like me. Because a lot of people will be really good at one particular element of their business, which has taken them forward. But there are opportunities popping up in the digital world all the time now that a lot of business owners, especially if it's not a technical business, they're going to be missing out on these opportunities. So I can't remember the question now. I've really gone completely.
It's about whether if there's someone got a current website and they might have created it from a simple WordPress or something.
If that is still serving purpose, and it's put together by a brilliant design guy, somebody who can really conceptualize how the business should look online and everything, I won't step in and say, no, you've got to do it our way. We have these resources, but I love working with new professionals that may already be in situ. So they may be running the marketing public sales face of the website. But the thing is, you can then extend this into processes. For instance, if you can link your customers, your staff, maybe your suppliers, maybe your fulfillment house, maybe your management team, if you can put everybody all into the same arena with the right passwords and levels, so they only get the information they want. But if everything operates from one arena, then there is so much excitement in me, because you can start to put systems together whereby you can deliver value because the system's linked up. All the data's in one place, but your whole universe is connected. As an example, there was a franchise that came to me and they said, look, we've got a very successful franchise. We're set for growth. We've got 70 franchisees and we have a website. And it was effectively just a simple website. This is our franchise. This is our mission. This is where we deliver value. And it was well designed. The person that ran this had a real passion for their business. They knew where they wanted to go in life. They were so they knew what was right in the brand, and they knew that what wasn't. But everything was moving with spreadsheets and emails. And if you have 75 franchisees, and the franchisees maybe have a few hundred customers each, all of a sudden you've got a very large universe of people to organize for events. And so therefore we said, right, well, let's actually make every franchisee able to have make their own website. So we created a template that constrained the brand. They couldn't mess with the brand or anything, but they could put up all their course details. They could say what made them tick. So all the franchisee had their own website, and that automatically came out of the system. We then put up a shop so that the franchisees' customers could order on the shop. The system that we built tallied the commission for the franchisees.
Mm.
The orders went straight through to fulfillment house, skipping past the head office because they were managing all this internally at one time.
Mm.
The fulfillment house sends it out, ticks it off as done. Then that tells head office the commission's due for payment, tells the customer the items on the way, and tells the franchisee they've got a happy customer. All automated. Now, linking all those people together has brought so much value and productivity, time savings for the business that they could then grow again. This was a £20,000 project, paid for itself in 14 months out of operational savings.
So a lot of people might say this sound that I find I come across a lot of businesses who probably know the surface level that these solutions exist, but then they say, yeah, but it's too expensive. I can't afford that now. I'd rather have an Excel sheet here. I'll have a Zapier link here to my CRM. I'll take my orders over here. I use payment gateway over here, and I've got my website here to hopefully just collect an email address and do all those things. So because what you're saying, you mentioned like £20,000 already. I haven't got so. How would you start to work with business owners and say, look, you're saying that you could connect all those things together quite efficiently and from a cost-effective point of view?
To be honest with you, it's a discussion to have with the financial officer, because it's not a discussion for the marketing guy or the sales guy. It's a discussion for somebody in the C-suite who can see the bigger picture. If you can invest £20,000 in your business, but in month 15 you're actually going to get a profit, and you're going to get a profit every month for eternity, assuming this ecosystem keeps running, then the financial director is going to go, we would be crazy not to do it. It is such an open door, but it's the dots have to be joined up, because there are so many. The dots have to be joined up, and they've got to also, this is a flip side of it, they've got to see somebody who they trust, because we're taking people into an area where they may have not have gone before. So it's important to me that my values come to the fore, and it's important to me that everybody on my team shares these values as well, because I've got the wisdom and the knowledge to put systems together. My genius is joining the dots technologically for people, because I do it instinctively. I'm a mechanical aeronautical engineer, training way back. 18 years board experience with P&L responsibility before the internet came along. So with all of these things, I see where systems can be joined up for benefit and automation, and my brain says that where gains can be made from a point of view of improving process. So all of this is just all my past resources in my brain coming together to actually provide something. And I'd say it's people in the C-suite who are laying in bed at night thinking, I'm not certain we are getting full advantage from the digital world. And that's the discussion I have with people when they invite me in for the website. But I'm never invited in from a point of view of how can I improve the productivity through business automation, because I'm seen as a web developer. So the opportunity now to explain to the world that is one of the bedrocks of what I do is fine, but there's a lot more to be built upon it.
So when you think about what we've currently gone through, there's a lot of digital activity. People have been forced. I think this current period has probably forced us 2 years. We were 2 years where we would have been normally in terms of digital awareness and technology and appreciation of what we need to use.
I've been advocating this for about 15 years. So I am delighted the world has suddenly gone, we're going to work the way Simon thinks. My productivity, and I'm absolutely sure that anybody who's kept their business running by actually having online meetings, the benefit, I think, if you've done it, I don't need to say anymore. You know the value of it. You absolutely know the value of it.
So are you saying that a lot of stuff you do is applicable only for e-commerce sites, people selling online, or are you talking about people who don't necessarily sell online?
it is any business automation, to be honest with you. For instance, we're scoping out an importer of diggers. He's the sole importer of diggers. It's a fantastic place when you go. He's like JCBs. You turn up in his yard, and he has 120 of these lined up. Right. That's the scale of this business, and it just blows your mind to actually see all of these. But they have to have an inventory system which is currently running on spreadsheets. All of these diggers need health and safety checks. Health and safety executives say they've got to be tested periodically, effectively like an MOT for diggers. The thing about diggers is they drive all around the country. They're on one plant site one day, they're on another. But when it comes up for certification and testing, they've got to drop an engineer in there with a tablet to do all the testing, and all of this is managed at the moment on spreadsheets. We are scoping out a system where it will be an inventory management system, and also it will tell the people that the unit when the unit is ready for servicing. We are thinking of putting GPS tags on all of the units so that you'll be able to see a map where they are. Because you'd say to somebody, we rented you a digger and it's up for service, and then the plant manager will need to talk to so and so to find out where it is. GPS tagging, QR coding on the devices, so you hold your tablet up and it pulls up all the past reports. But the moment this is all on a spreadsheet. But all we're doing is putting together all these possible resources that are out there in digital land and saying, look, if we did this, it will give you this saving. Is that a good idea? But this only comes out of dialogue. When I sit down and have these meetings with people, none of these ideas exist in the form. But we think, right, put a QR code on it. There's going to be no mistyping. Put a GPS tag on it. You're going to know where the use thing is. And then you can actually schedule all your engineer visits in an area because you know where the units are, and you can automatically schedule the visitor. Then you start layering in some AI, and then all of a sudden, who's running your business? Well, you put the rules in, but it's doing it on its own, which has to make you infinitely more efficient than the people down the road running it on spreadsheet.
I'm going to ask you a question. Is there an industry that either you haven't worked in, or you think that hasn't really taken advantage of this kind of integrated automation, that you think if that industry just saw it? Because what you see from the outside, you might not know about the industry, but in terms of their different moving parts, that this kind of automation, this kind of integration will be so beneficial for them.
To be honest with you, there are all manner of industries, and there are. We're working with a miller in London, for instance, and we looked at a number of his processes, and there were breaks in the links where things suddenly became manual, or where processes could be automated. So I think it's down to the. I work with innovative solicitors where they're putting in systems. I've got a multi-location practice who are really progressive, and yet I've got another solicitor that's really sleepy. So I don't think there's a vertical market necessarily. So it's probably in businesses that are inherently non-technical. Solicitors, we love working with solicitors.
So my question to you is, solicitors, I can see how a delivery organization or people who are sort of doing installations, they want to know where their vans are and spreadsheet stuff and invoices. But explain to me, how does a solicitor benefit from this kind of automation?
Less so than a process industry. If you're moving goods and people and items around, you need to keep a handle on it, and you can put rules around it. Less so for solicitors, but solicitors fit very comfortably with the kind of, they like working with us. I don't know if it's because I'm similar age to senior partners and there's a trust thing there. Right. Typically, solicitors, I think, are largely non-technical, but they are excellent in their niche. And this is where they regard me as the trusted technical partner. So if I recommend something, then it's worth considering.
Right.
But coming back to your original question, there are no vertical markets as such. It's down to the awareness of the owners, because you can get really progressive companies that are wholly non-technical. In this day and age, they do need to embrace the technology. What I do say to people, though, is, and this is where I shoot myself in the foot probably day one, is I say, look, we can build you whatever you want, because a platform is code that is written to do exactly what you want. But do go to the marketplace first of all to see if there's anything off the shelf, because if there's something off the shelf that will do what you want, and it will do 95% of what you want, and you can see that will serve you well for probably at least 3 or 4 years, then maybe it's a better option to use that. However, there will come a point when you want it to say add on point of sale terminals, and their system won't do it. Right. Or you may want it to link to GPS tracking with QR codes or this, and you may want it to integrate with Xero. It won't do it. Right. At that point, you need to make a decision whether you go bespoke or whether you bolt it together out of third-party apps. There is a point when you get too large that you can't rely on all the third-party apps.
I want to talk a little bit about your journey a little bit for a few minutes. Okay. Is that you've been in business for over how many years?
41 years.
Right. And the world of digital and internet has changed massively.
Absolutely. It came along for me.
So the things that you can do today, you couldn't do even 4 or 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago, based on the technology available.
And it was readily available as well. Right. The programming technologies for integrating apps and hybrid apps now means you can actually roll these out. You can do a professional delivery with a relatively low cost, so people are that much more enabled. But this is where my knowledge is relating to people in their business to make it happen. But I rely on my teams around me, because they bring the new innovation, the new software tools to my consciousness. And then when I'm talking to a client, I can see where new tools can be employed for greater advantage. I tell my teams, I say, look, don't do what I ask you. You're looking at a baby boomer here. I know what works in business. I know what things should cost, and I know how people react. And I know that when you're selling to Gen Z and to compare to a baby boomer, it's a totally different narrative. It's a totally different motivation. So here, take this project. It's aimed at selling or promoting something for people who are 30 to 40. You don't want a baby boomer dictating how that's put together. So I rely on my teams to give me more innovative ideas. So, you guys are in this age. What happens there? Don't build what I tell you. Come back to me with something that's better than I've told you. And some teams want to do exactly what they take a pride in delivering what you want. I say no. That's my idea. You now make it better. And honestly, when people have worked with me for a couple of years, they go, "Hey, this is a playground where I can actually bring all my skills and toys to the resource, rather than doing what I'm told." And it's a different culture, but it seems to work for me, Baiju. It's a self-grown culture that seems to work.
Yeah, no, I get that. So tell me, how have you changed in the way you said at the moment, we spoke offline that things are going really well, and it's a very delicate time in the world at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty, but for you're saying that and is it because you're doing some certain things now that you weren't doing before? You put things in place that meant that because of the uncertainty in the world, it meant that you could be in a more stable position. What sort of things have you done to ensure that you grow your business?
To be honest with you, Baiju, I stumbled across an organization that you're aware of called B Collaboration that evolved into Collaboration Global. I've lived my life in the do have world. But then I bumped into these people who I can't remember if it's right brained or left brained, but I'm the process guy, and it had to be logical. You know, Spock was the right man. It had to be logical, Captain. But after a while, after meeting everybody at this group, which is focused on humanity, getting the best out of humanity, it changed my framing completely over a period of time. And I must admit that I view life in a more rounded capacity now, from a point of view of being neither right-brained or left-brained. I've been introduced to sort of well-being techniques. And as part of the recent program I did with CYG, I realized that health is a really important thing. So, you know, one of my goals was to lose a bit of weight, and I've dropped 31 pounds. So I'm feeling really good about that. But these are all goals that I set myself. So, you know, because all the goals together come together to make who you are. Somebody who we both know, Vanessa, she introduced me to Abraham's grid. I carry this thing around with me. It's covered in beer because it lives in the back of my today, you know, I said, right, who am I going to be today? I'm going to be excited, successful, and enthused. You know, so I thought I pick who I am in my different arenas. So, from a point of view of how I've equipped myself for the outside world today, it's largely I'm very grateful for everybody I've met in my last 5 years of a journey with Collaboration Global, and all the individuals that I've met along the way, yourself included, because the CYG program, I loved it from a point of view of it not working on the typical do have. It worked. The inner game bit was so important to me, because it's the bedrock that the do have is built on. So that's been very influential in positioning me where I am now, up here.
What would you say to other businesses that do similar services to you, not sort of competitors, you know, collaborator, potential collaborators in the technical field, who feel that they might be a little bit how did you change your mindset to able to grow your business now, that they could, what perspectives they could look for now that would help them if they're stuck?
Know your why. Don't need to go into it. Just go and Google Simon Sinek why, and so you know exactly who you are as a person and why. And you'll need to work on that if you're not there. If you're coming from where I was 5 years ago, you've got quite a journey, but it's a great one to go and do it. Know your why, know your values, have a vision, write it down, but don't just write it down and put it in a drawer. Write it down, but let that vision be set what you're going to do to reach that vision. My vision is 4.5 years away, and I'll tell you when I get there. But every year I've got a year goal, and then that breaks down to my monthly goals, and then I've got smaller goals that I do during the week. So every day there's a micro goal. It's a tiny little step towards my 4.5 year goal. But if it's not linked, it's not linked to what your objectives and what your vision is, then you're really just paying lip service to something. But mine actually relate to where I want to be in 4.5 years' time, and it stops you drifting off and being distracted.
Indeed, we have this phrase that we call trust the process. Lean in every day and just trust the process, trust the universe that it will work out. But do what you're good at every day and be intentional.
Absolutely. Or hashtag this shit works.
Indeed. Absolutely. Vanessa said the grid. You mentioned about the grid there. So glad it's working for you. Absolutely. And she showed me the grid. So if anybody listening to the podcast thinking, what is the grid? Connect with Vanessa. Yes, she's tagged onto this Facebook Live. So connect with Vanessa, and I'm sure she'll be there. And we're going to have Vanessa on talking about her business in a few days and a week's time. So sorry.
I'd say no. Tune into Vanessa. You'll get so much value.
Because you've been working with her as well, haven't you? You've been working on in terms of her business from a technical point of view, helping her organize her business from a technical point of view.
Well, from a technical point of view, we looked at putting together a platform for her with this facility, but there was nothing there that was cohesive enough to actually take her to the level that Vanessa wants to go. So, you know, if you want to take something to an international platform of thousands of people, you've got to put the right footings in. And there was a realization that this is not the kind of thing you dabble with a simple WordPress website. You know, this is big boy, this is grown up stuff. But it's interesting when we started looking at the branding. Well, there was a visual identity. There was a logo in place which gave us a sort of start of a feel. But we went into this. This is something else we do. This is not technical, but we looked at the visual identity that the Naked Life, which is Vanessa's project, is putting forward, and we felt that we could offer something there. So we've actually come up, and I'm not going to tell you anybody about it because it is up to Vanessa to release it when it's ready. But we've got some really iconic imagery that if you see it, you'll go, "That's the Naked Life." Wicked. Without any branding around it. We've got something that's very special, and that just came out of it because my extended team said this is crying out for something like this. So it's not just a digital journey with me. We've got all the good guys on board that I've met over 21 years. So they are, you know, they're trusted.
And yes, you're certainly working the magic with us. She is, and we'll be speaking to Vanessa about her business and her stuff later on this series of lives future. So I've got one final question for you, Simon, before we go. Is you've got a business owner listening to this who's thinking, do you know what, I need a new website. What questions does a business owner who thinks, I don't just want a website that shows as a brochure, I need it integrated to book appointments or, you know, send an automated email or do these sort of things, whatever it may be for them, right? What are the good quality questions they should be asking their potential web designer or web developer, digital engineer that knows that person gets them for who they are? What are good questions to ask?
I think I would probably like to have a talk to the web developer and say, look, you know, you're great with design, you're great excited with my brand, which is normally where web developers come from. But how do you see this challenge that I've got? How do you see automating this? I need to make certain I reach my clients in an automated manner whereby they can respond, they can actually interact with their accounts, they can do whatever the desired outcome is. But what I hear again, if it's a design house that's doing this, they're not going to have the process experience or maybe 2 decades of P&L experience and running a business to innovate. They will be able to go, oh, right, okay, we'll get a program on it that can do that for you. But if they're coming from the design house perspective rather than the business process perspective, they will be stifled by the fact that they're not in an area where they're in their flow. Does that make sense? So, you know, you need to make certain you've got a developer or a team who is in their flow when they are talking about business process, or an automation of business process, because that's the core of what I do. The fact that I've got great designers and great SEO people, that's what everybody else does. But the bit that floats my boat, that gets me out of bed in the morning, is when I can build a system for somebody that they go, yeah, I hear so often, Baiju, oh, I didn't know you could do that. But it's only because they don't know they don't know what they don't know, as we've said earlier. And it's only through having a discussion. If you have a chat, this is why I invite people to have a 10-minute coffee with me. And if nothing comes out of it, then hey, you've just made a new friend. But apart from that, then there may be something magical that we can pull out of it. But if you don't know what you don't know, it's very hard to ask the question.
Exactly.
Which is why I just love to sit in someone's office and see what's going on, because almost every time, there's something where I can deliver a bit of value.
Perfect. Great. Listen, we're coming towards the end now. I'd encourage anybody, if you're a business owner and think, okay, I want a website, but I want my website just to do more than someone look at it and I get a nice little like or a capture an email, but you want some more, is speak to Simon. Worst case scenario, if you've already got a developer, use Simon as an indicator of whether you're on the right path.
Thank you. I'm very happy to work with existing teams. I do.
Great. I think that's your main thing. You want to work with teams, or maybe existing teams who've got a business model already there. They might have systems in place, but it's not connected. It's not connected, whereby you become the plumber and you connect it all together and make it all work great.
That's it.
Simon, the digital engineer, it's been great talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed this chat.
And I've loved it, Baiju. Thanks for the opportunity.
Not a problem. First thing, Monday was I encourage you to connect with Simon. If you know any other business owners, please invite them into this group, because we're going to have not only Simon, we've got other business owners who I'm going to be showcasing their business. And hopefully the more connection we have online, the better productivity to everybody.
Great stuff.
Simon, take care, my friend. I'll catch up with you very soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.